Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different that I've wanted to do for a while, and so I wanted to tackle the fantasy palette declutter. So to be completely clear, I'm not actually getting rid of any of these, but this is sort of the if I had to get rid of half my palettes kind of situation, which I don't, but if I did, and I thought this would be just interesting to sit down and talk about what I have, what I would keep, what I wouldn't. So I have a total of 9 eyeshadow palettes, but for the sake of having an even number, I did decide to include my KVD Alchemist palette. I really don't use it as an eyeshadow palette, I use it more as a highlighter palette, but I thought I would include it. So looking at this, I know what I would 100% keep. So I feel like I don't wear the Gemini palette on camera a whole lot, but in real life I do wear this quite often. I'm a grungy neutral kind of girl, and this delivers that for me. I love a good green, I love these orangey neutrals, so would definitely keep. Melt's matte formula is fantastic. I'm not like a Melt stan, but I do generally really enjoy their products, so I would definitely also keep the She's in Parties palette. This is like my perfect purple palette. I find that a lot of palettes that are purple can either lean more to the magenta side or be very blue based, very indigo, and as somebody who is of the pale olive variety, anything that's too like blurple makes me look quite green, which is something that I'm not going for. So it makes me look a little green and a little like sallow and sick. So this has enough red in it that doesn't happen. And it's got these like really delicious plum colors, which I love a good smoky eye. This is everything that I want out of a purple palette, so would definitely keep this. So I think switching gears, let's talk about what I would get rid of. Now, I think the first two that come to mind, you're probably not entirely surprised if you've been around for a bit, would be the Earth and Ocean and the Emerald Obsessions. And once I started getting back into eyeshadow last summer, these were the first two things that I picked up. And I don't necessarily regret purchasing them because I did learn some things about my makeup habits and things that look good on me. And like I said, as somebody with olive skin tones, certain things like pastels do not work on me. And while I would love to be able to pull off a color like this as like a blown out all over eye look, that kind of makes me look weird. And I think there's a little bit of fantasy self in here too. So when I bought these, I knew that I was not going to be back into a physical classroom in the fall, and based on the way the rest of the world was going, I also knew that I was not going to be back in the classroom in the winter either, quite likely, which it ended up working out that way. So I knew that I had a little bit more creative freedom, and I think I sort of fell into the trap of wanting to be the type of person who would wear like an emerald green eye look out of the house, and I am not. I like grungy neutrals, I like deeper jewel tones. Some of these colors just are not it for me, and like I bought this palette, I bought the Earth and Ocean thinking that these two golds were going to work really well. On me, they just don't. So I learned that. And I'm glad I bought this palette in the sense that I was considering buying the Naked Honey, because this has sort of like the earth side definitely of the Earth and Ocean has very similar vibes to the Naked Honey. Like obviously it has the inclusion of some greens, but all of these are very like Naked Honey-esque. And I realized that those are just not the types of browns that look good on me, so I saved myself $70 right there. And with this, I really do I like this palette, but like I am just not the type of person who would wear a color like this, like out in public. I'm just not, and I would like to be, but I'm not, and that's okay. So I wouldn't repurchase these. And I would, if I had to declutter, those would be the first to go. You know what I think I would also get rid of? So I really enjoy having the Alchemist palette, but like if I did have to get rid of it, I wouldn't keep it, just because these highlighter colors are gorgeous, but they're very cool toned. And again, I would like to be the type of person who feels comfortable wearing a blue highlighter in public, but I'm just not. This ultraviolet color is stunning. Like it literally does look like there's ultraviolet light on your skin. I don't know what kind of witchcraft, but it also makes me look very, very green when I put it on my face. So again, like very pretty, maybe just not the most flattering on me specifically. I like a good champagne highlight, a little bit of Becca Prismatic Amethyst if I'm feeling like fancy, but this is, and again, I use this in my regular life a lot as an inner corner highlight, but having said that, it doesn't have shades that I would wear often enough to keep it if I had to get rid of it, if that makes sense. All right, next up, would very much keep the Sunrise palette. So I really like, as much as I am a fan of like smoky looks and things that are a little bit more grungy, I really love this palette. I zero regrets about purchasing it, worth the price tag, at least in my opinion, because I like the fact that you can get a little bit more colorful. You can do basic neutral looks with like these 6 right here. Very easy to work with, gorgeous formula. You can get a little bit more colorful by adding in citrine, glory, or carnelian. And I really enjoy this palette, and it offers something that I don't have, and don't have in anything that I'm theoretically keeping, so would keep. Alright, I would also keep the Norvina palette. This was as close to an impulse purchase as I've gotten in quite some time, and I really don't regret it. These, again, you have the option to do neutrals, true neutrals, and you also have the option to get a little bit more colorful, and I wear these guys all the time. Like these Dreamer, Summer, Volatile, and Incense are like my go-to. I have a presentation and I want to look put together looks, and then I have also like completely fallen in love with rose gold in a way that I truly just did not expect. But I mean, it's so gorgeous and it's deep enough that it's flattering on me, and it has just the right amount of depth for an everyday look. Anyways, I'm a very big fan. I would definitely keep this one. So looking at what's left, I think if I had to, I think I might get rid of the Pat McGrath Mini Sublime. Now, I bought this when I didn't have it before I bought the Sunrise palette, and this is a really nice companion palette to the Gemini palette because the Gemini has 2 shimmers and one of them kind of sucks. So this hits the warm neutrals niche, and I really have enjoyed this. I don't ever use this one ever because it's a little bit too dark to work as a transition shade, and it's not one of those ones, if I sheer it out, it just kind of makes me look dirty. But I mean, like, this shade Corruption is an incredible one and done eyeshadow. I'm usually not a one and done, but every once in a while, when I was getting up really early to go to the grocery store, this would be like my one and done. You can't really see the shift on camera. It's stronger in person, but it's beautiful and very easy, and it looks like you put in work when you didn't, which is like sometimes the vibe that I'm going for, you know? And this shade, the shade right here, Gold Nectar, is also gorgeous. This is the kind of gold that I'm after. Like, it has enough copper in it that it works really well on my skin tone. It's not too pale. And then this also works really well with the greens in the Gemini palette. So anyway, but having said that, I think if I'm keeping theoretically, the Sunrise palette, I don't really need this. Okay, last 2. This is harder than I thought. So I really love the Mini Retro for days when I'm in a hurry but I want to look put together, because you don't really have to put much effort into the Natasha Denona matte formula. You can just kind of blend to go, very, very easy. But I will say I was a little bit disappointed by how this color Industrial pulls. So this, I was hoping that it would be more green, and it pulls a lot more silver on me. It's really beautiful and it's unique, but it's more of a silver, not super green. Now this might change once my skin tone warms up for the summer, but if I'm keeping the Norvina, then I already have these guys and something similar to this, so I don't really need to keep this one. But then there's also the Carly Bible palette. So this is my most recent acquisition, and most of the bottom row of this is basically dupable than the Sunrise palette. I mean, my Angel's not really, but it's similar vibes. But the top row really does it for me, because I don't have a ton of cool tones in my collection, and I have discovered this year that they're not scary, and I really like how I look in certain cool tones. And I've discovered I am very much a fan of shimmery taupe, like this color right here. Libra, incredible. Also really, really like Jode. Like, it's a really fun, like, sort of steel gray, and a little bit of color, nothing too crazy. Very, very pretty. So I don't know, this is tough. So I like both of these, but I think if I had to, it would very much hurt my heart to declutter the Mini Retro, because I do really enjoy this, and I have worn this so often these days. But I think if I had to, I would probably get rid of this and keep the Carly Bible. All right, so let's bring it in and look at my keep pile. So yeah, this pretty much checks out. With these are the things that I wear the most and feel the most comfortable in. So this definitely checks out, and I am very happy with this. Like, if I did have to declutter half my collection, I could live with just these 5 for sure and be very, very happy. Yeah, and then for the declutter, this also kind of checks out. Once I'm back to being in person, I might wear some of the shades from this. For instance, I'm very comfortable with this shade. This is a very, like, wearable green for me. And then these guys also have their moments. But I mean, for the most part, there are a bunch of colors that I would not wear on their own. This I do enjoy, but again, like, I don't wear blue eyeshadow, you know, enough that getting rid of this makes sense. I do really enjoy this, but this is not like a complete palette on its own, and I do have similar things represented. So if I didn't have the Sunrise, I would, you know, I'd be okay. Alchemist also makes sense, and again, Mini Retro, this like hurts because I do really, really enjoy this one. I don't know, something about this color story does it for me. I would be okay with not having these, like I would exist and not miss them. I would probably miss the Mini Retro a little bit. This has been interesting to sort of like consider my collection. I think I've learned a bunch of things about my purchasing habits, what works on my skin tone, what doesn't, what I feel comfortable in versus what I don't, what I would wear for filming purposes and maybe for feeling creative on the weekends versus what I would wear to campus, kind of different things. So this definitely checks out. And again, like, I would be sad if anything happened to the Mini Retro, but the rest of these I could definitely live without, and probably will at some point. I hope you have enjoyed watching this. If you do this video, let me know. Thinking about your collection. What would you keep? What would you declutter? What's your absolute favorite? Do you have any regrets? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't already subscribed and you want to see more of my hands and also sometimes my face, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!